What if you are confined in prison, and the only way you can get food is on a platform that rises from one level to another? As a result, you and your cellmates are eating leftovers from above you. What would you do if you were at the final level, and there was no more food? Would you turn on your cellmate, or wait for them to eat you? Welcome to What a Story. Goring awakens in a building, where his cellmate Trimagasi informs him that they are on level 48, and in a location known as the Pit. Every level of the prison has 2 convicts, and each month, inmates are knocked out and transferred to a new level. Goring is informed that food is crucial in this prison.
You down there!
Trimagasi observes that there is no communication between those who are above and those who are below. An alarm sounds, and a large table of partially consumed food is lowered into their cell through a hole in the floor. Goring observes in disgust as Trimagasi starts devouring the food. The meal obviously passed through the first 47 levels above them, before arriving at their cell. An unattended apple is taken by Goring, and placed in his pocket for later consumption. Trimagasi spits on the meal, and drinks the last of the wine against Goring's objections, as the table begins to descend to the cell beneath theirs. The cell starts to get intolerably hot after the table completely moves down to the next level. According to Trimagasi, they only own the meal while the table is on their floor. When Goring tosses the apple into the hole leading to the table below, the heat finally turns off. It turns out, Goring volunteered to spend 6 months in the pit in order to receive a diploma. Trimagasi finally tells his story after he persuades him. One day, the elderly man lost his temper over a pointless issue, and flung his television out the window. He decided to be in the pit rather than a mental hospital, after the TV killed a man who was outside his apartment. The lowest level Trimagasi has ever been on is 132, he adds. He affirms that no food ever descends that far. Goring wants to shout up to the higher levels so that they can conserve food, but Trimagasi claims they won't pay attention to a communist.
9! Can you hear me?
Trimagasi urinates on those below, after Goring orders the other prisoners to save food by shouting downward, stating they will repay the favor when he is elevated to a level below them. Goring claims that, whereas Trimagasi arrived at the prison with a knife, he had a book. Despite his initial resistance, Goring eventually gives in to hunger and sits down at the table with Trimagasi. One day, a dead body falls through the gap. Many of the persons above commit suicide, according to Trimagasi, when they have all of their needs supplied, and are forced to concentrate only on their predicament. Goring is furious over Trimagasi's snobbish behavior. He claims that Trimagasi murdered and devoured his former cellmate when they were on a lower level. Trimagasi disputes this and claims that his cellmate was released after serving his sentence. Suddenly, the table is descending with a woman seated on it. According to Trimagasi, this woman is named Miharu, and she is attempting to locate her little child, who is reportedly being held somewhere inside. He claims she kills her cellmate each month, hoping to be coupled with her child the following time. Every month, she lowers as far as she can on the platform in search of her child. When she reached level 49, the prisoners try to harass her, but Miharu kills them. After several days, Goring starts to behave less politely, and more like Trimagasi. On their final night at level 47, Trimagasi acknowledges that he has grown to like Goring. When Goring wakes up, he discovers that Trimagasi is standing over him brandishing a knife while he is bound to the bed. Level 171 is where they are now. According to Trimagasi, Goring would have murdered him out of hunger if he hadn't been restrained, because Goring is younger and in superior physical condition. To gently dismember Goring so they can both consume his flesh, Trimagasi intends to fast for as long as he can. When Goring accuses Trimagasi of murder, he claims that those in authority over them are to blame. Nothing is left on the table for them to eat when the platform comes down. After some time, Trimagasi starts to carve into Goring's leg. Before Trimagasi can complete his mutilation, the platform arrives with Miharu on it. She injures Trimagasi while liberating Goring. Goring kills Trimagasi. He and Miharu consume Trimagasi before she sinks lower on the platform. As Trimagasi becomes part of Goring's body, Goring starts to have hallucinations with Trimagasi. Goring barely makes it through the month. When Goring wakes up, he discovers Imagiri, a new cellmate who is sharing a space with a dog. They are currently on level 33. Imagiri worked for the organization in charge of the pit before offering to be housed there. According to her, there are 200 levels, and if everyone consumed only what they required, there would be sufficient food to reach the bottom. Imagiri claims that the administration expects that the people of the pit will band together on their own initiative for the benefit of everyone. Imagiri begs the prisoners beneath them to only consume what they need, as it lowers, but they ignore her. In the coming weeks, Imagiri keeps pleading with those on the level below to consume what they require. They are finally convinced when Goring threatens to urinate on the food. They are unable to convince people in higher levels. The next day, Miharu is discovered on the table very sick. She is attended by the two. Miharu kills Imagiri's dog as she wakes up, and the two then engage into a fight. As Miharu descends, she kills another convict that tries to assault her. Miharu's story is fabricated, according to Imagiri. She claims that in exchange for assistance in becoming the Asian Marilyn Monroe, Miharu deliberately joined the pit without having any children. To prove she is trustworthy, Imagiri reveals she has cancer and signed up to try and help those inside. Due to the death of their dog, Imagiri becomes depressed. Goring is now on level 202, following reassignment day. When he awakens, he discovers that Imagiri has hanged herself. Additionally, there are additional levels below him. Goring tries to consume his book. Finally, he gives in to cannibalism and eats Imagiri's body. He is now experiencing hallucinations in which Imagiri and Trimagasi, who are now both a part of him, speak to him and declare that he is the Messiah. The following month, Goring awakens on level 6 with a man named Baharat as his new cellmate. With a rope in hand, Baharat begs those above to assist him in ascending to the top and leaving the pit. They fooled him. The prisoners above him make fun of him and defecate on him. Goring suggests that the two descend on the platform and distribute food at each level. Goring calculated that there are around 250 levels while he was on level 202. He hypothesizes that they will have defeated the system if the food sinks to the bottom. If they fail, they can ride the platform back up. They arm themselves for fight. As the pair begin their descent, they beat the other inmates back. They interact with a knowledgeable man whom Baharat is familiar with. The two must make sure that at least one delicious meal is sent back up the platform uneaten, according to the wise men. The uneaten food is a sign that the pit is conquered. They decide on a panna cotta, an almost flawless dessert, to be sent back unopened. The two successfully get the inmates to save their meals as they drop. They arrive at a floor where two extremely cruel prisoners stab Miharu. The vicious inmates are attacked and killed by Goring and Baharat, but not before they suffer severe injuries. The stab wounds cause Miharu to pass away. On the lowest floors, they mostly encounter people who are insane or dead as they descend. They believe level 333 to be the last because the platform ends there. They discover Minaru's child under there. After leaving the platform, the two people are shocked to see it drop once more. They feed the kid a panna cotta before going to bed. The following morning, Bharat is discovered dead from his wounds by Goring. On that day, the platform without food reaches their level. The kid is dragged up onto the platform by Goring. The final descent of the platform to its lowest point. The image of Trimagasi appears to Goring again at the bottom, telling him that his journey has ended. According to Trimagasi, the administration must get the real message, which is the child. Trimagasi and Goring observe as the platform starts to climb to the levels. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next story.